racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my God! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Are you new to sim racing, or maybe a veteran struggling to reach the next level? Have you ever wondered how the aliens reach impressive lap times that seem impossible to achieve? If so, you're not alone. Most drivers reach a certain level and get stuck. But getting faster on track is easier than you think. VRS coaches are some of the best sim racers in the world and offer one-on-one driver skills training at affordable rates to help new drivers learn the basics and help experienced drivers break through to the next level. Are you ready to get faster and get off the iRacing roller coaster? If so, VRS one-on-one personal training is for you. If you've invested in your equipment, it might be time to invest in yourself. Just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a 30, 60 or 90-minute session with one of our world-class coaches, and you'll learn exactly what to do for faster lap times and more podiums.
It's a hallowed circuit, this one. It's one which, every year, on a month which is known as May, they drive in anti-clockwise circles for 200 laps and figure out who can go past a yard of bricks the fastest. Many times, that has been the peak of American racing immortality. Although, for this layout, back in the early to mid-2000s, you had this, Indianapolis Motor Speedway's road course, the big battleground of a track which for every intent and purpose was the home of Formula One for a number of years. Of course, the bad rep of 2005 aside, this is pretty much a track which is all about positioning and qualifying, which is very difficult to get yourself navigated around. It's the 9th round of your iRacing Grand Prix Series here with SimSpeed TV, bringing you into the conversation for amazing sim racing action. I'm Jake Sperry, joined alongside by Jake Kennedy, bringing you all of the amazing action we have today. Qualifying is currently underway here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the junction, or what we could say of the roads of 16th Street and Georgetown here today. The first times coming in on the board, Klaus Siemert setting the marker at a 105.1 at this point in time. And Jay, 4.2 kilometers, 2.6 miles, and really a track which is all about qualifying. You qualify well, you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, hello Sperry and hello everyone. You've used this analogy quite a lot in V8 Scops, but I think talking about circuits, this track would be one of the Vegemites of sim racing tracks. It's an extreme love or hate circuit. Drivers are very cut down the middle on whether they love or hate this track, but one of the significant things about it is that huge full throttle run from the exit of turn 11 all the way around the Indy turn 1, which is turn 13 on the road circuit, all the way into the braking zone at turn 1. It is a huge open throttle section. Should mean that we're going to see a lot of passing as well in that run down the front straight. I'm looking forward to it. It is a really good track to watch racing in these cars, but drivers choice-wise doesn't seem to be as popular as some of the others, with not as huge a turnout, but it's still going to provide a great show.
Yep, still managed to get 2 splits, 32 ultimately out there, so a few maybe unfamiliar names, and well, we've got a shock already. Matt Wood is not going to get pole position here in this one. A 104.862 only is good enough for second position overall out there on qualifying trim, so that not necessarily good enough, and we're seeing a number of drivers going different ways on the strategy here today. Some are going with the soft compound and qualifying, some are going with the medium compound at this point in time as we focus going through these wonderful turns. Kent Nielsen in the number 9 machine, 9th best iRating in the field, currently down in 10th position on a 107.5 due to the fact that he hasn't had the best go around to start with. He's on the soft compound. Stratinsky's done well climbing up the field. We haven't seen a couple drivers set times yet. As of yet, the big drive to keep a focus on here today, Jay, is number 2, championship leader Jorge Martinez, 50 points clear.
Yeah, and he's only just getting out to start his laps now, so he's leaving it right till the very, very end to start his 2 flying laps. You will have time to be able to complete both, if I could actually get words out. But he's leaving it so late, which is surprising, as Kent Nielsen comes across the line to complete his second lap and improves up to P5. That's a very, very good lap from him.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that one. So good time being worked. Martinez now making his way through the middle sector, through what is normally parking on the Indy 500 day, and through this left, right, left. Edited, of course, from when Formula 1 was last here. It used to be a set of back-to-back hairpins through that section, but the right there doesn't change one iota at turn 11. Through 12 and onto the banking you go at the end, or at the entry, what is traditionally to IndyCar turn 2, and then through this final right-hander. Who remembers 2 years in a row, Ralf Schumacher finding the barriers there at the final corner and over the line. A 104.963 has another lap in the bank, of course, but third position for the moment for Jorge Martinez.
Yeah, Martinez still has that 1 lap left, but no more laps left now for Jin Se-Yuk as he comes up to finish the lap. And as you were talking about before, strategy-wise, I'm a little surprised to see some drivers starting with the medium. I mean, we did hear from a few drivers that medium, or a soft medium strategy is very, very viable. But to see them start medium and go medium soft is not what I was expecting to see. A lot of sacrifice in regards to qualifying pace going that option as John Pat Kelly crosses the line, jumps up inside the P10 into 9th. Inside the top 10, I should say.
105.8. Martinez and Se-Yuk still have a lap available to them, and they are the only 2 drivers out there. Martinez really struggling through turn 11 to get that all settled up nicely. And he's going to dive it then into the pits, and it's a very unique pit entry here because you do run effectively the exit line from the normal pit lane. One of the unique pit lanes that can go from both directions and be used. Se-Yuk piloting a faux Mercedes, going to try and drive through turn number 12 and make a drive for the line, it seems. 320 kilometers an hour, looking for a lot of downforce for the middle sector, hence on that lap struggling a little bit. But that's a lot better. That's a 105.9 and good enough to jump into the top 10 on the mediums. That could be huge in this race. Only one driver has done better so far in qualifying. So let's get the grid up for you on screen right around now, because what a qualifying this is. Klaus Siemens shocking everybody with a pole position time, a 104.754, was a 10th clear of Matt Wood in second, with Jorge Martinez third and Adam Gleeson there in fourth position. Kleber Toffoli will start this one from fifth, and Kent Nielsen there in sixth position on the grid, with seventh belonging to Jan Stratinsky and Reynaldo Augusto in eighth. Your first American, surprisingly, only goes from ninth position. That is the number 5 of John Pat Kelly, with Jin Se-yuk just alongside there in 10th place. Following that is Adam Webb and Christoph Montz in 11th and 12th positions. Antonio Alvarez there in what is 13th, with Anthony Katt in 14th. And following the final two drivers, John Atkinson Jr. and Mark Van Dalen there make up the 16 drivers here looking to take to this grid today. 2 minutes to grid up, or they start from a place known as pit lane. Track should cool as this race goes on. It is 42 degrees out there on track, and a 2 pit stop day might be what we see from a tyre muncher that this place very much is. But as we said, it should get easier as this race goes on. Track is going to cool, and there is the fabled Yard of Bricks, the most famous yard of bricks that you will find in all of motorsport, crossed every single time in May, and of course in the Brickyard 400 as well in NASCAR circles. But today it'll be crossed 48 times here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We are, of course, back home again in Indiana, and it seems that we can see some great sim racing action on the horizon. If you haven't had the chance to already, you can like, share and subscribe for more amazing content brought to you by SimSpeed TV. Scops Enduros happens for those in Australia later today. For those in the European continent, they will be happening tomorrow morning. But just waiting for one driver, Christoph Montz, to take to the grid. And it looks like we have just dropped Antonio Alvarez as well for the time being then. And it's just a case of waiting processes once again. So let's get ourselves then into position. Engine notes rise, and we are underway here from this great run. Not brilliant from Siemens, and immediately look at this, 3 wide on the outside. They go through. It's Martinez trying to challenge here as they run into one. Wood on the inside. Siemens with a big lunge down the inside. Martinez sweeps around the outside to take the lead. Matt Wood still fighting for it at a track he doesn't love. And now here's Siemens trying to fight for it. Behind as well, they scrap as well as they try and funnel on through. One of the SRT cars looking great, and that's Adam Gleeson up to 4.
Yeah, great launch from Gleeson, but horrible initial launch there for Klaus Siemens, and he won't be happy to have thrown away that pole position. Matt Wood, though, finally hung it around the outside, finally got an inside run into the middle section, and has got that position. Guys have to be careful to not run too wide on exit onto this little back straight, which Matt Wood has done. Slow down penalty, all of that good work is now gone.
Oh, and it just gets worse, doesn't it? And it's not a slow down penalty on the inside of the circuit. It's a slow down for running too wide off of the exit there of the circuit and onto the escape road. That's why he's down now behind Adam Gleeson, and also behind Jin Se-yuk, who's made a really good start to this race at this moment in time. Jorge Martinez, though, count the gap as he crosses the line as Matt Wood gets it done on Se-yuk. The gap at the front, get this, is 3 seconds after the opening lap.
Yeah, what a great start there for Martinez to get such a huge lead already, as Matt Wood making moves up the inside and past Jan Stratinsky with those yellow wheels that confused me instead of the drivers. To say that that was the reason why he uses those yellow wheels, but we're the wrong people to confuse.
Yeah, we certainly are. Clayton Foley is all over the back trying to get through, as well as John Pat Kelly goes through Mark Van Dalen in the back of this field. Very tough track to get correct around here at the moment, and Anthony Katt, I can tell, will be very happy driving around in his machine right now after Chelsea won 3-0 in the opening of the Premier League. Yeah,
let's not talk about the start of the Premier League. My team lost quite miserably this morning, so I'm not too happy.
Was it 5-1 by any chance?
Let's keep moving on. Martinez continuing on in this race. I also want to shout out to Antonio Alvarez. The reason I didn't have a flag up on the start grid is because I didn't download a Colombian flag. The first driver we've had in this series from Colombia.
Yep, it's the first driver I've known from Colombia as well, so it's nice to see Antonio out there and giving a good account for himself as they run in towards turn number 1 once again. Little look down the inside from Jin Se-yuk, trying to attack Adam Webb. Here for position as we focus on Adam Gleeson for the moment, so wrong Adam, but they still continue their fight all the way through. Look at this from Se-yuk, just confidence on the medium compound tyre. Of course, the grip works nicely on the outside there for Adam Webb, who keeps himself in there, but he knows, especially in these hotter conditions, those softs are going to go off very, very quickly here today.
Yeah, exactly right. If he can stick in this group, he might not need to make moves yet, because as you can see, DRS open down his back straight. He might not have to make moves yet, because in another, say, 5 or 6 laps, the tyres are going to be well and truly equalised, and then the next few laps he's going to have a huge advantage. If we're seeing 3-stop strategy, we haven't been given exact information, but if we're seeing a 3-stop strategy, that means that the soft tyres by lap 16 are so slow that they have to come in and get another set. So by lap, say, 10, we're going to see the medium compound tyre be faster than the slow, I would think. So, sorry, than the soft, not the slow. The slow tyre, which is actually the fast tyre. I'm still half asleep, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah, there is also the white-walled hard tyre, which I doubt we're going to be seeing here today in terms of racing action. There you can see in second position Klaus Siemetz, and you are seeing Siemetz here absolutely motoring at this point in time. Lost 3 seconds on the opening lap after a poor getaway. He's brought the gap down by half.
Yep. Marquez has lost a couple of seconds due to not being as clean as he was on that initial launch and that initial lap. So Marquez has lost a lot of that gap that he had. Siemetz has continued on, and Kent Nielsen, I think we've said this every week this season, but how good is he driving this season? He's up in P3, and he looks comfortable in P3 at the moment.
Yeah, very nice to see that comfort being there. There are, at this moment in time, 8 drivers out of the 16 on the medium and 8 drivers on the soft. Those on the medium, Jin Se-yuk, Christoph Montz, John Atkinson Jr., Anthony Catt, Reynaldo Augusto, Mark Van Dalen, and Antonio Alvarez. Everybody else in this field is on the soft compound tyres as we focus on John Atkinson Jr., just behind John Pat Kelly.
Yep, and that was a soft tyre getting ahead of a medium tyre, and John didn't have the best start. He dropped a few spots, but he's starting to gain those back now. Great qualifying. Remember, he qualified it in P9, so he'll be looking to gain a little bit more. Biggest mover in the field at the moment is Adam Webb. Started in 11th. He's already up in a 6th position, so he's flying along at the moment.
Absolutely, a lot of medium runners that Adam Webb has got through. Behind him is the leader of the mediums, Jin Se-yuk, who was just very aggressive there through turn 11 and has to be careful, and I think he might not have been and could be in slow down penaltiesville potentially after that little run moving forward. So we'll keep an eye out on those times. Here's Adam Gleeson though. He's got a great run here. DRS will be open in towards 1. Just couldn't quite get along. Very narrow corner through turn number 1. You've got to be alongside if you want to make the move.
The other part of that too is that it's very, very easy to cut that corner and get a slowdown penalty. So you saw there Kent Nielsen running a little bit wide. That was not because he's missed the apex. It's because he doesn't want to cut the corner at all. So a lot of drivers work their natural line and try and find a way to flow that corner by being half to a full car width wide of the actual apex of the corner. And have sort of worked a line that can work and still give you momentum. So when you see drivers missing that turn 1 apex, they're not doing it by mistake. They're actually doing that strategically to make sure that in their mind they're not getting anywhere near that very, very aggressive slowdown penalty by cutting that corner.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. And this is what we will be seeing in this race. Drivers trying to mastermind their way forward. They get 17 instant points before a drive-through penalty, and they've got to be very alert to it. Gap under a second for the race lead for the first time as they move through turn number 1, and you can see those drivers in 3rd, 4th and 5th making their runs in. Little look from Toffoli as well, by the way, on Jan Stratinsky. Stratinsky up there at the moment in 8th place, having a very good showing at the moment, but is running around at a similar pace to those who are on the mediums, as we do see a soft runner just behind Interfoley, and they of course have to make some hay while the sun shines. Behind is Reynaldo Augusto going for the mediums, and we've seen how Reynaldo Augusto's been really good over the last couple of weeks, getting some strong results.
And we've got some bad news for John Pat Kelly. We were talking about him starting to make moves. He's having some technical issues and maybe out of this race. Yeah, again, you are right.
It's not the first time this season it's happened for John Pat Kelly, and he's going to have to try and find a way to address that, because it will cost him iRacing and safety rating, and it will cost him points in the championship if he can't find finishes. So for him, he's got to find those technical gremlins and see what it is that's causing everything to pretty much fall apart at this place. But now you're starting to see what makes Indianapolis Motor Speedway so difficult to make overtakes at here, Jay, because it's that run out of 11 and 12 that is going to be the key to how you make a move into one. Anywhere else on this circuit, you do not have a chance to overtake.
No, I mean, you have to be really aggressive to get a move done. The only other spot that you can potentially do it is through the down that back straight, which we're about to come up on now. Is you see Stratinsky running wide through turn 6, through turn... Was this one turn 6? This one's turn 6. I can't remember the turns at this track.
No, that was 7 we just
That
went
was
through,
7,
so this
it
would
was,
be 8,
yeah.
9, 10.
Yeah, exactly. You can get a move done if you are close enough and get a really good run and almost side by side out of 7 using that DRS, but in these cars you're not going to see a huge amount of moves there. The DRS is more to keep the cars closer for this run. Kleber Toffoli is well and truly there. He should get the move done as soon as that DRS opens, which is once they get past the pit entry line. Here it comes. Hang on a second. There it is. It is a very, very late DRS opening as well, so you do see drivers get a huge launch. Stratinsky's going to lose 2 for 1. Maybe.
Oh, no, he's not, because that's Augusto spinning half around. He's done well to save it there, has Reynaldo Augusto, the Brazilian driver in the F1 Apps car. But that was a case of it just not playing the way that it needed to, as we look now at Klaus Siemens. And that was the key there for Jan Stratinsky. Left the door wide open for Reynaldo Augusto to invite an attack.
Well, I think Augusto made the mistake there because he wasn't expecting it to be as wide open. I think he was expecting a little bit more defence from Stratinsky, so he might have had a big smile on his face thinking, wow, that was easy, and in that moment he's made that little error. As we'll get a replay in a second. We'll just see how close Siemens closes this gap up. Not quite going to be close enough, but does show the nose a tiny little bit, but we'll get a replay up in just a moment.
We certainly will, and that replay will be brought to you by the Virtual Racing School, sponsors of all our replays over the course of this year. And here it is for you up on screen right now as we take our little look. Then this is Anthony Catt at this moment in time, 14th position on the road at this point in time, and that's what happens when you grab grass there. Just sliding around then off the back in the Chelsea machine, and ultimately we'll have more work to do in this race to get back into position. The only driver behind him is Mark van Dalen, who had his own moment on lap 2. Now, the keys are, how are these battles going to be done? And it's about how aggressive you can go through 11. A little bit of buffeting there from Adam Gleeson, trying to take as much as he can, and he's not getting close enough in comparison to Kent Nielsen, who is doing enough to hold it, but this might be the lap where we see the move for third come into fruition. Look at this. Nielsen defending hard to the inside, goes all the way to the pit wall. Some would say serpentine, breezing by around the outside, tries Gleeson. No confidence to make the corner.
No, he wasn't sure. I think part of that would have been that you've seen Kent Nielsen run wide of that apex, so wouldn't have known exactly how much room he was going to get given there. That's the other part to that too. Kent Nielsen running that little bit wider line through turn 1 would probably have hurt Gleeson in his mindset around how much room am I going to get given. If Nielsen had been taking the normal, what you would think is a normal traditional line and hitting that apex a little bit more aggressively, I think Adam Gleeson would have tried to make that move. But knowing that Kent Nielsen was running that little bit wider line, sort of played with his mind a little bit there.
Yeah, good news though for all drivers, they have lasted longer than the 2005 Michelin spec tyres, so they've got that in the back pocket, they've gone longer than 10 laps. But as they charge through, you're now looking at one stop versus two stop. You're going for a one stop, you're pitting lap 24. You're going for a two stop, you're probably pitting in about 4 laps time, lap 16.
Yeah, we'll see most of the guys on those softs pit between 16 and 20 maybe, if they're lucky. I think, if anything, you're probably going to run your original tyres the shortest run out of the lot. So we could even see some guys in very, very soon, maybe 14 on this first set. So lots of strategy mind games to come out of that too. Remember, if you do pit earlier, you do get a very, very nice new tyre advantage. So we could see some guys come in and try and undercut. The likes of Matt Wood might be one of the ones that are in a good position to jump in the pits even now and use that fresh tyre advantage to undercut Adam Gleeson and Kent Nielsen while they're continuing to battle out on track.
And this is something else that they'll be keeping in mind. That track temperature has dropped by 4 degrees as they've gone around this circuit. So from the start of the race, they're on a much colder track. Now keep an eye as well on Claver Toffoli, has been struggling on the tyres over the last lap or so, as Matt Wood with DRS isn't going to do much. There is Reynaldo Augusto on the medium, starting to come into his own here. He's looking to get back to net equal in 8th position right now, tucked up underneath, but is at the limiter at 3:32. Augusto's gone high downforce here.
Yeah, that's a surprising move. It's a track that you normally see drivers go a lot lower downforce. It's usually a medium to a low downforce circuit. Oh, no, Toffoli having a spin and good avoiding action from Reynaldo Augusto. But Toffoli just...
Tyres are gone.
Yeah, he's got nothing left in those tyres and will probably be in the pits this lap.
I would agree. With a spin like that, that would have done no favours to those tyres, which will be screaming out for a little bit of help. So for Claver Toffoli, he is very much going to be switching up his strategy, I would feel. Virtual Racing School replay then, showcasing just how easy it can go wrong. Just back steps out, and there's nothing much you can do. The back was already gone before he'd actually had time to correct it.
And he missed the apex too, so I think that was as much him just trying to correct that missed apex and try and launch that thing around. And there you go, right on cue. No surprise. Here he comes. Van Dalen also has come into the pits, but his pit stop looks a little bit longer. Oh yeah, the front's fallen off that.
Oh yeah, the front's fallen off. And how's that happened? Well, the front fell off. That's pretty much the response we've got there for that one. And that's coming out of turn number 7 on track. The leads onto the back stretch, just got caught over the curb. We'll catch it on the Virtual Racing School replay. And then the front fell off.
The race was not going too bad for him. He was sitting just nicely, cruising around. He had the good strategy spec, and that's an odd one.
It's like he tried to catch it and then didn't catch it enough fully, as we have Kent Nielsen diving into the pits. It's 88 Ks down the lane, and Kent Nielsen is the first of the leaders to bite, and it's going to be followed by his teammate Adam Webb.
I'm not surprised to see the teammates coming together, but I am surprised that it's Nielsen in first as opposed to Matt Wood. I would have thought Wood would have been the one. Matt Wood may have been the one to come in first. But Matt Wood as well, he's also not too bad on tyre preservation, so that could be part of the reason why we've seen him continue on. I'll tell you what, look at the pace he's got. Gleason's tyres are gone. Matt Wood's going to get the move done at the spot you said you couldn't get a move done. Well, we both
Not
said.
yet, though.
Oh.
Not yet, though. They're going to hold side by side. This left's going to be crucial. Through that and wide goes Gleeson. Move done. Matt Wood puts a fantastic overtake in. He doesn't like this circuit. He said so as much at the back end of last week. But now he's got himself the move, puts him up into 3rd position. No takes onto the lane. They're going to be on a more conventional strategy with this one. But now the DRS might come into play as they start running back. Here comes Adam Gleeson as he looks for the move in towards turn number 1. Toffoli is pretty much retirement. But now as they go through, Gleeson is back through.
Nice pass from Gleeson. What a good battle between these two. And what this has done as well, this is playing right into the favour of Kent Nielsen, who's come in and is now able to punch out really, really good lap times with brand new soft tyres. While these guys are battling, it's hurting them in the long term of this race.
They lost 1.2 seconds to the leader on that last lap. And now with the DRS marker board once again, Matt Wood's going to have a second bite at the cherry if he wants it, but he thinks better of it here. He knows his race is about getting as many points as possible. He's got to stay in contact with Martinez and Seamet, who lead this race. Apparently, if you have a Z in your name, you're really good at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We should put a Z back on the name of Helio Castro Neves, it seems.
Definitely looks like it's okay. You have to have the Z right at the end. It can't be anywhere. Oh, so Gleason in the grass at the exit of the final corner. Now, that is not a line you should take.
It's not, and this is going to allow Matt Wood consummate ease down the inside. That is a beautiful move. And there goes Matt Wood up into third and now guaranteed. But again, it will cost time. Also in the pits right now is John Pat Kelly. He's going to get himself back out and away again. He's 8 laps down at this moment. There is Kent Nielsen for confirmation. He is there in 9th position right now, and he is running about 35 seconds off the lead. He's going to be really interesting to watch. This is going to get past both the Phoenix cars with a new fastest lap, mind you. He's now got to get by both Phoenix cars of Monson Atkinson Jr. as well as Renato Augusto and Jin Se-Yuk.
Big thing with that is, though, they are 13 seconds up the road. While this is a relatively fast pit lane in regards to speed, it is a long pit lane, so it does take you a long time to transit the lane. When we were talking about strategy earlier, that was one thing I was surprised about. Not that they were doing soft. It was that soft was still viable considering how long the pit lane is as Klaus Siemens comes in. He's decided that 18 is his limit. Martinez, we know, is really good on tyres, so Martinez could pull the worldly and just do one stop soft. I don't know if it's going to work, but if anyone could do it, Martinez would be the man.
Jorge Martinez must have had a really, really old go-kart when he was a child or something to that ilk, where he couldn't afford to change the tyres or something, because the way he can drive on carcasses, it seems, is unreal. Out of the pits will come Klaus Siemens, and there's the big shock. That's Kent Nielsen that's breezed on by. Nielsen might just undercut for the race lead.
He could. He's got some great pace going on. Remember, well, it's almost likely that he is doing soft strategy.
Oh, look
Klaus
at
Siemens come out of mediums. So
it's a one-stop.
Yeah, he's going the one-stop, probably to try and undercut Martinez. So will we see Martinez come in and do a soft medium, or will he go soft again? I'm thinking he's going to try and get this out to 24 if he can. Go soft as we got Matt Wood and Adam Gleason in. Prediction time. I'm thinking they're going mediums.
I think that might be the option as well. Lap 19 of 48 doesn't make sense to come in for a set of soft compound tyres. They couldn't stretch out their strategy for 5 more laps. That would have put them in the window. Even 3 more laps would have put them in a soft window, with Martinez staying out there and trying to make it work. So we'll keep an eye out then. Matt Wood on the mediums, Adam Gleason on the mediums. The mediums working today. Through goes both Kent Nielsen and Siemens, but Siemens goes straight on at turn 1. He's missed it by a country mile and just gets around the corner. Off the road goes Adam Webb as well. He's managed to get himself back on track, but my word, Siemens, you can count the hang time on that punt of a move there that's just happened.
It's uncharacteristic from him, isn't it? He's driven so well, except for that launch at the very, very start, but his pace has been incredible. Started on pole, wondering if he thought, oh geez, I'm in a bit of trouble. He just was nowhere near stopping.
About a mile. I think he was too busy looking at Matt Wood and co. And there's Adam Webb going off the road. We saw also Alvarez went off the road there at that point a lap ago. So some big shocks coming into play at this moment in time, and we are really in a race. Martinez still out there on circuit, by the way, still leading this race by 10.3 seconds over Jin Se-Yuk in second position. And what's very telling as well is that those who have gone onto the medium compound tyres, they are trying to mitigate some of the damages that could be done by those who started today on the medium. Se-Yuk was a threat at the start of the race. The fact he's still 10 seconds behind the leader.
Well, the interesting thing for Sayok, he's in the position of maybe going medium soft and having a brand new fresh set of softs to finish this race on. Because his pace right now is as good as anyone who started on softs. Or is better than anyone that started on softs and hasn't pitted. And it's better than every single other driver out there on medium. So he's doing a great job. One driver that I'm surprised hasn't had as good a race as we may have expected is this man here, Ronaldo Augusto. He had a horrible qualifying by his standards. I mean, P8's still very good, but we probably expected a little bit more out of him, and just the race pace isn't quite there for him yet.
Well, he is on the yellow walled medium tyres, so that would explain why he was a little bit down the order in qualifying, and he wasn't a million miles away from Jin Se-hyuk either. So he's done, I would say, a pretty good job in the circumstances going to the alternative strategy. Now, with these drivers on the yellow walled mediums, they're probably trying to get to about lap 28, lap 29, because as well, it's worth keeping a point on this also, that they'll be looking at that track temperature and going, okay, slightly colder conditions, which is going to mean less scrubbing, and we've got less fuel for the soft compound tyres. They're going to be really up for the fight come the end of the race.
100%. The fact that they've had such good pace in this first stint, and the track is cooling off a lot quicker than we both expected, and if we expected it to cool off, didn't expect it to cool off this quick, some drivers may have been caught out by that as well. So yeah, medium soft may end up being the strategy that gains you the most time overall. May not be the best for qualifying, but the fact that we had half the field qualify on mediums, I can't think of another race this season or any season where half the field has qualified on the harder compound tyre. Almost the entire field qualifies on softs each and every round, with maybe 3 or 4 drivers at most doing mediums, but not half the field. That was very, very surprising.
We've got a very interesting race going on. Jorge Martinez, that last lap by, lost 9/10 of a second to Kent Nielsen and Matt Wood, who are both trying to drive themselves into a victory here today. There's no doubt about it, Martinez is going to fall behind these drivers right now when he does decide, probably on lap 24, to come into the pit and make his stop. But the difference maker's going to be, he's going to have 24 laps on a set of soft compound tyres to go out there to attack and to try and win that race back again. Yeah,
exactly right. He's not stressed about what that gap is at the moment. He's just content making sure he's consistent, which he has been. His last few laps have been very, very consistent in regards to pace. So he's just making sure he doesn't wear the tyres too much and get the softs past that lap 24 marker if he can, and then he'll chuck another set on and just be consistent. He's not out there to try and break world records, he's out there to try and win the race, and at the moment he's finding himself in a great position to do so, knowing that the likes of Nielsen and co may have a second stop still to come. Nielsen, you'd almost guarantee is going to go an extra soft compound stop, but Martinez will just have the one stop by the looks of it.
Yeah, definitely does look that way. Worth noting, 2 retirements from this race. Mark Van Dalen and Claywood Toffoli are those retirements. John Pat Kelly is out there running, is 9 laps down on the lead, and 1 lap down right now is Antonio Alvarez at this moment in the number 16 car, getting some good experience up then at the top of this field, and should be looking to try and consolidate iRacing and safety rating here today, as this now marks the halfway lap. There is Kent Nielsen, probably has to come in and do one more stop at some point. I think by committing that early and expecting it to be a 2-stop race, they completely threw out the opportunity of soft medium to come in, as some of the medium runners actually coming in. Mons and Atkinson Jr. are running a half and half strategy, it seems.
Yep. So they're going to run half and half medium, and Martinez is going to run half and half soft, which just shows how good he is for tyre conservation. Still softs on the car, yes, for Mons, and yes for Atkinson Jr. So they're running the split strategy with the soft tyre compound. Medium. Anthony Catt, almost 100% sure he's going to do the same. At this point, not going to see these guys come in and do softs from here. They'll go another set of mediums, as right on cue, when he crosses the line, the race is half done. Martinez is in.
And that will give the race lead to Jin Se-yuk, who crosses the line and takes the race lead away at this moment in time. Marquez now, question will be how far he goes. Ronaldo Augusto also into the pits then from second position. So Kent Nielsen will move up into second position, but how much work is going to need to be done by Marquez, who now gets off of the jacks, off and away again. There goes Kent Nielsen. There was no doubt about that. He was going to get through, but his main rival just behind, Matt Wood, will see that Marquez has come out of the pits and will just shake his head going, this race has not gone to the plans I've needed, even though I knew today would be damage limitation mode.
The interesting thing is, though, we know that Marquez, Wally will have pace now. Come the end of the race, his pace does drop off. He's doing mid-107s. Matt Wood on those medium tyres, if he can make them last, he may be able to stick or close the gap back down to Marquez at the end. Marquez with a little bit of pressure from behind, trying to conserve those tyres, will be a very, very interesting fight. I hope Matt Wood can hold off or sustain the gap between he and Marquez. Maybe don't let it stretch out too far. He can close that in with a few laps to go, because that will be a very, very entertaining fight if that does come to be.
Well, it all depends on how good Matt Wood can be on the mediums. We haven't seen him run so far too much this season on the yellow walled compounder tyre, but he has been matching the pace of Kent Nielsen, which is a pretty shining example of how good Matt Wood has been on the yellow walled in comparison. Marquez now on for his first flying lap then on the second set of the soft compound tyres. All bar one driver then has come into the pits and has made a pit stop. That is the number 4 machine of Jin Se-yuk, who leads this race outright at the moment. But Marquez is very much on the prowl. He'll be trying to get as close as he possibly can to Kent Nielsen in the next few laps.
Yeah, we'll try and get up as close as he can and use that DRS to his advantage. And remember that Kent Nielsen is probably only 8, 9, maybe 10 laps away from coming back in for another pit stop. So Kent Nielsen will be, well, from what we thought may have been the right strategy call with that track cooling off. It's just cooled off another degree as well. He may find himself now not making the optimum strategy with how much the track is cooling. First flying lap for Marquez. He's just in cruise mode, isn't he? He's not pushing that car anywhere near as much as we saw the likes of Nielsen and Matt Wood behind. That lap there was his fastest, but it was only 106.9. The fastest lap is a 106.5 from Kent Nielsen on his first flying lap on this set of tyres. Actually, no, that is correct, yes.
It very much is. So Marquez not able to get up to speed straight away, it seems at this moment, but Kent Nielsen very much keeping this one an honest race. Second, third and fourth at the moment on the road. Interesting to note as well that Adam Webb was on the same strategy call as that driver there, of course, of Kent Nielsen. The two teammates came in together. Jan Stratinsky, I believe, also came into the pits, but he moved on to a set of the medium compound tyre. So Adam Webb as well will have to make a stop from 6th place.
Yeah, Webb and Nielsen are the ones that probably rolled the dice and are now looking, especially with that cloud cover coming over. That plays into Marquez's hands as well, doesn't it, with the track cooling off even more. We'll be able to hold on for those soft tyres. I must say Matt Wood is not dropping like you would expect someone to drop semi-used medium tyres versus a brand new set of softs, is he? That gap's staying around about that 1.5 seconds. Matt Wood is doing a good job of keeping Marquez honest. Marquez is in conservation mode 100%. He has to make the tyres last. Matt Wood, I don't think, is pushing at 100% yet either. So this is going to be a very, very interesting fight. It's going to be a slow burner. But once that match is lit, it is going to be very, very exciting between these two drivers.
0.4 of a second, the difference that last lap that Matt Wood managed to lose over the course of that time. Se-yuk out then for a 29th lap of this race. And I pose another question as his tyres are now starting to hit the proverbial cliff. He just did a 108 flat on that last lap. If push comes to shove, does Se-yuk try a no stop?
I would say no, but I would say that he'll do a medium soft strategy. So he's going to try and get it to maybe to do 13 or 14 laps on a soft set of tyres, so he's probably got 6 or 7 more laps to try and hold on. But I think for him, he needs to go medium soft and try and punch out world record lap times on that secondary stint, which we know he can. He's been driving really, really well this season. So Shin Se-Yuk definitely has impressed me. Sure, he's impressed you with his pace this season, and he could pull off the strategy game that none of us saw was viable at all. And he's not far off getting himself on a podium if he can make these tyres last to lap 36. As you say, though, no stop possible, but highly unlikely, I would feel.
Well, this is the key in terms of this race. If he can make those tyres last, it was an 8.3 that time by, so he is struggling on them at this stage. The key is he's got right now 14.7 to Kent Nielsen. That's going to go in about 10 laps, so that will bring him to about lap 40, and then he's got 8 laps to hold off Martinez, Wood, Gleeson potentially as well. If he pits right now, we're looking at about 35 seconds transit lane time as they will go in. He's going to be behind Klaus Simonsen trying to get overtakes. I think he's trying to play and bank on the fact that they're going to have to try and get around him, and not the case of he has to try and get around others.
Potentially, and of course, I mean, it's 16 seconds at the moment, Martinez to Se-Yuk. So if he can only lose a second a lap now for the next 8, well, there we go. That answers that question. We don't have to worry about we don't have to worry about what ifs anymore. We know the answer.
We absolutely do. So in comes Shin Se-Yuk then, looking to make that stop, and was racing around Reynaldo Augusto. That's going to be very key to see where Jin's going to come out here, the South Korean driver, as Kent Nielsen now will take his first lap lead here in this race as he goes through. There is Reynaldo Augusto, just about coming onto the banking here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and the focus is very firmly going to be on where he will come out in comparison to Se-Yuk, who has only now just left the box, so is going to meet those green commitment cones. It's late green commitment cones here. You can see that's Se-Yuk there on the right hand side, and it's going to be side by side in towards turn number 1, and Reynaldo Augusto round the outside. Oh, and a check up there for Shin Se-Yuk, who had no confidence in turning on the fresh soft.
Yeah, he wasn't quite sure on the grip levels there, was he? He wasn't sure if he was going to have enough to be able to turn it in and make it work. So Se-Yuk got a little bit of work to do. One thing I noticed before I forget this point, Sperry, is Kent Nielsen, Matt Wood, they have their cars absolutely trimmed out for top speed. Martinez, he has his car more on a medium downforce spec car as Se-Yuk gets through. There's no surprise on that one. Brand new softs should be able to get these moves done as Kent Nielsen comes in. But Nielsen's top speed, no DRS down the front straight, 347 kilometers an hour. Martinez is only getting 320, 321 with no draft and no DRS. So very, very big difference in how these guys are punching in their lap times, as Matt Wood, speaking of punching in lap times, just set the fastest lap of the race then on mediums.
106.421. And I wonder whether this is a case for Matt Wood where he just wanted to be aggressive with the DRS line. He maybe got it off of Kent Nielsen. That might be why a 106.4 has come into play. And I tell you what, it's all about Martinez here using the infield of this road course to give himself the buffer so that Matt Wood cannot latch onto the back. Because if Matt Wood's got pace in a straight line, well, it's these 3 corners that he will absolutely monster onto the back of Martinez, and there's not going to be much that Jorge can do about it. He's struggling through that section. 318 right now is what Martinez is at. Look at Matt Wood. He's at 333. He's got 15 Ks on the straight.
And I don't think he had DRS then either, did he?
No, that's the point.
So 17 Ks per hour faster with no DRS. So if he gets in the DRS zone, he's going to be doing 345, 350 versus Martinez's 320. So Martinez really has to capitalise on the soft tyre through this middle section. Guess what? Matt Wood is within DRS range. He's going to close that gap in even further down this little chute here.
And the longer this race goes on, Matt Wood on mediums, on softs, of course, Jorge Martinez, this falls into the back pocket of number 1, Matt Wood. We know this is an incredible championship fight. There's just 50 points between them, and results like these will certainly help out both championships. But Martinez, throughout all of these broadcasts we've done on SimSpeed TV, has been the bridesmaid, but not the bride. This is the time where Matt Wood once again wants to prove worth.
100%, and we'll see the speeds now. DRS activated. Yes. Top speed 346. 346.
Sticks you got, wow.
Yeah, I got 346 versus 322.
Jorge Martinez. It is, and this is another thing that they're keeping in mind. iRacing have really learnt, because they don't have any reference markers for DRS. They know and understand that the drag reduction system is not a tool for overtaking, so to speak, Jay, but a tool that gets you alongside. And with it so late on that straight, that is very much a tool for getting you alongside and not for getting past.
Yeah, exactly right. It's just enough to get you're there, and then you have to do the work yourself. It's not about doing the work for you as the DRS. I think the position of that DRS is pretty good. You close in a little bit, you think, oh, come on, and then the DRS opens and it finally gives you that little bit of burst to be able to get you there to look at making the move. It doesn't get you the move automatically done. It gets you there close enough so that you can actually think about throwing the move. One thing Martinez does have in his favour is he does have good pace through that midfield section, so it does stretch that gap out enough so Matt Wood is not close enough. But look at the pressure now that Matt Wood is forcing on Martinez. Martinez is now starting to put in his fastest laps of the race. I don't think he wants to push the tyres as hard as he's being forced to right now.
No, I don't think he does either. Kent Nielsen, by the way, is back out and away in 8th position right now, is with Christoph Montz as his next driver in front, as there is Kent Nielsen on screen right now. But have a look at the fastest driver on track. It is the number 4, of course, of Jin Se-yuk at this moment. 106 flat on that last lap, gaining a second a lap on Klaus Siemert in 4th place.
And the lap before, he was into the 105s. So since Se-yuk doing a fantastic job. Speaking of doing
his last 3 laps.
Yeah, he's been absolutely consistent, hasn't he? Speaking of doing a good job, Matt Wood was almost out of DRS range then from Martinez. Just pulled it into the exactly 1 second bracket. So Martinez now trying to get that gap out far enough so they can pull away.
Traffic in front, though. It'll be Anthony Catt in the Chelsea car there. So this will be a little bit awkward depending on where Catt gets caught. And at the moment, Catt's going to give some DRS to Jorge Martinez, which will be another little load of respite as we look again at Jin Se-yuk for a little moment there. 6-2 on that last lap from him. But the Mag Performance car, no DRS actually there used on that straight going on by. But it means now Matt Wood has got to get absolutely in on this section. And for Matt Wood, the key is he has got to get across more, I believe, Jay, to open up 11. If he can open up turn 11, you know, this racetrack is going to give him everything and more. He is scrubbing out through that corner.
Yeah, he's just working the tyre a little bit too hard and losing maybe half a tenth. But not only is he losing half a tenth, he's probably losing 5 or 6 kilometres an hour. Which are crucial because he will gain them back plus more through the next phase of the circuit. So one thing I haven't noticed is where exactly is the DRS activation point for that second DRS zone, the one down the front straight. The cool thing about
it's out of 11.
Yeah, well, I think it's before that. So we'll see. You can see the light on the dash there on the steering wheel. The 1 green light means that DRS is ready. 2 green lights means that you have it. 4 green lights means that it's open. So we'll see the first green light disappears. When the activation zone is touched, that first green light will come on. I think it's on the exit here of 10. There it is.
So it tells you all you need to know. Yeah, it's a lot better there from Matt Wood. But again, you can see just that confidence in a planted car Jorge Martinez has, the downforce working, Still 9/10 of a second as they go through. And Matt Wood has got to wait on that green light as long as possible. And this is what is hurting. He is unable to catch up. He's closing down that gap as he crosses the line, 100th on 100th each lap. But Marquez is doing just enough. And just like that here, Jay, we've got 11 laps to go here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Adam Gleason is comfortably in 3rd position right now. And Klaus Siemetz here will soon be in a fight for 5th place, or 4th place even, from a fantastic drive from Jin Se-hyuk, who qualified the car in 10th place.
Yeah, remember he was the driver who surprised us by running those mediums at the start. He was still qualifying quite well, was gaining spots in the early phase on medium tyres, and now on a set of softs for the first time in this race. He is punching in absolutely incredible lap times, as we said he needed to do. What he does need to be careful of is to not burn those tyres up too much too soon. Interesting footnote on that. Track has dropped another degree in temperature.
Absolutely has. You can see the timing just going up and down in terms of how everyone is trying to figure out where Jin Se-hyuk is in comparison to Klaus Siemetz. As into the pits goes Antonio Alvarez, getting well out of the way then in terms of that battle. But Se-hyuk is right there, and so too is Matt Wood. Did drop though a couple tenths on that lap in comparison to Jorge Marquez. So it's still very much a case of, do you dare make a mistake? Now Se-hyuk right there with Seaman.
Yeah, Se-hyuk is there ready to pounce, and he's still doing 106 zeros, 106 ones. His pace is incredible at the moment. And Seaman's last lap, 107.3 on those 21 lap old mediums versus what, 7-8 lap old softs. No comparison in regards to tyre life around this track. The only downfall is Se-hyuk, if he pushes this hard for too long, you have to try and limp these tyres home right at the end over the last 4 or 5 laps. But while he's got the tyre, he might as well try and gain spots and then try and defend as much as he can, because his pace has looked very, very good.
This is why you make hay while the sun shines. Se-hyuk is very much in position through the turn 1 reversed here on the front stretch. It's already looking to be covered here by Klaus Siemetz, but is resistance futile? Is this looking like a heavyweight versus a bantamweight as they go into turn number 1? I tell you what though, great defense by Siemetz, holding the line on the inside. Se-hyuk is all over him like a rash, and you can see just how much more planted the car is from Se-hyuk. He's just got nowhere to go in that infield.
Yeah, he looks very, very strong, doesn't he? Just looks like he's ready to pounce at any moment, but as you said, just can't quite get through. Siemetz is just making his car wide enough, not blocking, just putting his car in the right spot, and often that's the best way to drive. You don't have to block, you don't have to be aggressive around it, you just have to put your car in the right spot at the right time, and you can hold on spots. But around the outside is going to be the inside, then back to the outside if you can hold that spot. Oh no, contact.
And a lot of netcode with it as well. Se-hyuk's challenge goes up in smoke. Klaus Siemetz would have done nothing wrong there, left all the room, but it's just a case of it did not work. Gap then at the front remains 9/10 of a second between Marquez and Wood at this point in time. Adam Gleason is currently still in that 3rd position, but now you have to say Matt Wood's got to find something here on Marquez, because Marquez is doing a brilliant job of just keeping Matt Wood honest behind with that higher downforce set, which works so well when you're in front.
The only issue for Marquez is he being forced to use too much tyre at this point to hold onto this spot. Matt Wood doesn't look like he's putting any strain on the tyre, but Marquez, while not visually, we can't see too much strain on the tyre or him working the wheel too hard. We know that the pace that he's got is quite extreme when you compare it to what he was doing in the first stint. He's running lap times 4 tenths quicker than he was in that first phase. I don't think all of that is down to how much fuel has been burned off the car. So he has to be a little bit worried about how much tyre he's got in the bank, and will he have enough to hold on when we get to 2 laps to go. It's going to be a very, very interesting battle here. Wood versus Marquez is on, and Matt Wood is as close as he's been for a long, long time.
Yeah, he certainly is. And, well, it's now time for Matt Wood to try and figure out Where can he find that move? We're down to 7 laps here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the streets of 16th and Georgetown. This is now where you try and put everything together as they pass the golf course there on the infield, there on the left-hand side now of your screen. They now make their way through 8, 9 and 10 in the big corner, the setup corner of this lap. Turn number 11 as they exit the infield section, rejoin the banking through turn 12, and then you've got that big long turn 13, the oval turn number 1, when they run Indy here in May, and they make that charge all the way down towards turn number 1. They are spending upwards of 20 seconds at full throttle there, Jay, till they hit this braking zone at turn 1, which is going to mean cold brakes are also an issue around this lap.
Yeah, and the longer that they're running at full throttle as well, the more that plays into Matt Wood's hands. So if he can be close enough through the twistier section, when we get into those full throttle moments, that's Matt Wood's wheelhouse. That's when he has got the strength in his car. So he has to use that to his advantage when he can, and try and minimalize the advantage in Martinez's favour, which is this section right here. These couple of corners here are the main section that Martinez's car is set up for. He needs to, that being Matt Wood, make sure that he doesn't lose as much time as he just did then through that turn 11. He's cost himself maybe a 10th, which is now going to mean he's too far back once again. 5 laps to go though when they cross the line.
Must be so frustrating when you are there and you can see the car in front and you can chase, but that is the closest he's been all race long. It's got the gap down to 6.5 tenths over the start finish line. 3 tenths they go through 1 and 2. If there's any time to be aggressive, it's now, because there's traffic in front in the form of Jan Stratinsky in 11th position, who is struggling on his very old medium compound tyres as they now enter that next left-hander. And you can see Martinez here is going to be struggling here. Stratinsky just about gets out of the way of the pair of them, the leaders, going on through. It is between these two all the way to the end. Gleason is now 9 seconds back and cannot match these two, who have not strayed out of the 106s since Martinez has come out of the pits.
Have a look at that last lap from Matt Wood. His personal fastest lap of the race on 20-odd lap old medium tyres, 25 lap old medium tyres. He puts in his fastest lap of the race, so he's still got more to burn, and he's applying pressure and forcing Martinez to do something he didn't want to do, and that is push 7/10 of a second when the DRS opens. This gap is going to be the closest it's been. Matt Wood, that lap by, didn't quite go as quick, but Martinez also dropped the pace back a little bit. But I think Matt Wood now is going to dial this wick up and try and force that gap down to nothing with 2 to go. We've got 4 laps left. The next 2 laps for Martinez are crucial.
They are. If he can keep the gap as is, he can be very happy, Jorge Martinez, because he knows that Matt Wood's got to get within half a second to get himself any hope of an overtake. He's got the pace, he's got the ability to do so. The question is, can he convert? Speaking of convert, Siemens now will have to deal with Renato Augusto in the not too distant future. So that'll be another battle going on for 4th place that we are having to focus on between now and the end of this one. But Matt Wood here, again, just doesn't seem to have as much in comparison to Jorge Martinez, who is just so planted through that section of road, through turn 11. He can just put the power down so much quicker because of, firstly, A, the soft compound, which gives him more grip, and secondly, the higher downforce, which is planting and effectively pushing the car against the floor.
Matt Wood just did his slowest lap time all stint. So Matt Wood's lap just then, the 107.4. He hasn't been in the 107s since lap 28. So that pace there has dropped off a little bit. I'm wondering if he's just trying to pull the tyres back off a little bit. May have hyperheated them at some point, but what that's done, Martinez has now got that gap out to 1.6 seconds. Martinez will have a little grin on his face right now, but he won't want to smile too much. He can't have much left in this tyre either.
I think you've got to say that the C word might just have to be used here, Jay. Cliff.
Yeah, I think Matt Wood is there. I mean, he's on 27 lap old tyres, but Martinez is on 22 lap old softs. He was the only driver we saw go that far as Klaus Siebert spun.
Oh, that will hurt the number 12 there, who started this race on pole position. An unforced error coming through turn 7. The back end steps out, and Reynaldo Augusto is on for back-to-back 4th place finishes here with SimSpeed TV. This is how easily it can go wrong, and it might not even be 5th position for Klaus Siemens. You can see the back just steps out on the mediums, because now if we can go back to live, Jinsei Yuk is once again all over the back of Klaus Siemens, and he'll be vowing for revenge after what happened earlier on today. But this is not going to be a chance just yet where the move can be made.
Not yet, but it's not far away. 2 laps to go. Gap at the front now, out to 2 seconds. First time we've seen it at 2 seconds in a long while. Martinez is going to try and hold on to that spot, but he can't have much left. Matt Wood, we know, hasn't got hardly anything left. It's going to be an interesting final lap, whether they've got tyre left in the bank to try and hold on. But Jinsei Yuk, we know he's got tyre left because he is on the freshest softs in the field. 16 lap old softs, but can't quite get done. But Martinez finally waves the white.
Yeah, there's the white flag being waved for Jorge Martinez. He's had an easier job in this second stint than the first stint, remember, because of the fact that he's been going soft. There's nothing that can be done for Matt Wood. He's trying everything, but look at this run from Jinsei Yuk. He was all over the back through 11 as Siemens struggling on the mediums to even put power down, loses out. But look at Siemens try and come back with the yellow wall mediums as they make the run towards turn number 1. Sayuk leaves all the room in the world. He locks up through turn number 1. Siemens might have a chance to get back, but he's not got it. What a great chance it was for Klaus Siemens to get back. The driver who started on pole may not even get a top 5 here in this race. Through turn 10 goes Jorge Martinez, and this is a marquee moment for him. He knew he needed a good result. He knew today would be tough for Matt Wood, but this is due diligence for being brave. The tyre whisperer has done it again. Jorge Martinez rounds the banking, comes to the yard of bricks, and wins at Indy.
What a fantastic drive. Making those tyres last, doing a strategy not another single driver in the field could do. Absolutely brilliant drive from Martinez. Matt Wood gave everything he could, but didn't quite have enough left in the tank. Adam Gleeson, great drive from him for 3rd. Reynaldo Augusto brings it home in 4th. And Jinsei Yuk, what a drive. The alternate strategy has worked wonders for him. Probably deserved a 4th, but finishes 5th in the end. That is a great result on that strategy.
Let's not forget that both Reynaldo Augusto and Jinsei Yuk started today on the medium compound tyres, and they get a 4th and 5th for their troubles and have done very well. And let's not also forget the fact that it was the wrong strategy call today to go for 2 stops. Kent Nielsen and Adam Webb, 8th and 10th. Well, they could have been up there fighting for a race victory come the end. I know Kent Nielsen would have absolutely have been there, had taken the lead on the undercut, but a couple of laps, it would have been all that they would have needed at that point. But let's get confirmation of result then up on your screen from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Jorge Martinez apparently has found hover mode, according to Adam Gleeson, to make the soft work and be fast. He's taken the victory in 54 minutes and 16 seconds and has won by 1.8 over Matt Wood, who ends up in 2nd position. Adam Gleeson, great drive there, quiet drive in the end, to 3rd place, with Reynaldo Augusto in 4th and Jinsei Yuk in 5th. Both of them on the medium. Sayuk with the netcode contact with Klaus Siemens struggling. Siemens, though, would want that race back. Had the pole position, clearly had pace in the opening stint in comparison to Martinez, but outbroke himself just after the pit stops, and that is what costed, probably for one Mr. Klaus Siemens, an opportunity for a race victory. You can see their 7th was Christoph Mods, 8th was Kent Nielsen, 9th was John Atkinson Jr., and Adam Webb rounding out then the top 10. Jan Stratinsky 1 lap down, Anthony Katz 1 lap down, Antonio Alvarez, the Colombian, 1 lap down, the last finisher in this race. John Pat Kelly struggling with the internet once again. Kleber Toffoli out of the race, along with Mark Van Dalen in the early proceedings going forward. But that will bring to an end racing this week, but next week is all important. It's a track which is known all too well for championship deciders and for crucial races overall. Jay, Suzuka, arguably one of the great tracks.
I don't think there's an argument at all. It is one of the great tracks, and it's a brilliant track for these cars. Of course, the home of the Japanese Grand Prix will be the Japanese host of the 10th round of IGPS for this season. We've got an absolutely brilliant final 3 rounds as well. We've got Suzuka. We've got my mental blank. I just looked at it just before, and now I can't see where it was. My brain is gone. Spa, of course. Spa, round 11. And then we finish off at Zandvoort, which will match up to the real world calendar as well as the return of the Dutch Grand Prix. So a brilliant 3 rounds to come. We're going to have some great fights for the remainder of this championship.
We absolutely are, and when there's drop rounds involved, we know the points get tight. So stay with us, of course, with SimSpeed TV. If you haven't already, like, share, and subscribe. For that, it will be coming along every Saturday at 8 p.m. GMT. I believe that's correct, yes.
Yeah.
But ultimately...
Definitely is.
Yeah, I definitely have gone to GMT and not BST, so I'm doing very well for summer savings. But a massive thanks has to go to the Virtual Racing School. Here has been done with the replays for us. Of course, we have to shout out everyone who's been getting it done here behind the scenes, making sure it's some great racing, especially the iRacing open wheel community. And on top of that, from Jay Kennedy and myself, Jake Sperry, it's been a pleasure once again bringing you the iRacing Grand Prix Series. Some amazing action has been brought into the forefront. It's Jorge Martinez's turn to say that was the result I needed to really cement myself. But Matt Wood gave absolutely everything at a track he did not love. But this is going to be a case where Suzuka next week is going to change a whole heap of things. Is this going to be Martinez's moment? Or is Matt Wood going to step up to fill the shoes of Matteo Ugolotti and Ben Fuller before him? This is the time you need to strike. This is the time you need to stay with us. But of course, Indy has proven again that it is one of the great homes of motorsport. Back again in Indiana, we have seen what we can see. Great sim racing, and we'll see it once more. Next week, though, is the time and the place. We'll see you, of course, at Suzuka.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's going with the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get involved.
It's very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go.
Oh no.
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?